to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives.
Oh boy, this is going to get good. Stick around for my commentary.
We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
Meanwhile,
do you think there should be more than two genders in America?
Yeah, I don't know what that executive order means. I don't know what the president declared.
It means there are two genders, male and female. Would you disagree with that?
How many genders are there, Harry?
Yeah,
come on, little guy. How many genders are there?
Again, these guys don't know what they're talking about, so they won't be able to answer.
How many genders are there?
How many genders are there, Harry?
How many genders are there?
What's the legal? I'm gonna use Joe Biden's answers. At least two. At least two. That satisfies.
Well, how
the
many
little
more
phrase you
other
guys
than
got going
male,
up in there.
female?
That's a TikTok answer.
No, there's at least two.
Yeah.
There's at least two.
Well, no, hang on. There's male and female.
Kid is like human brain
Donald
rot.
Trump says there's male and female. There are two.
Okay, Dave.
How many
Russian Rubin,
more
come
are
on
there
now.
after male and female, Harry?
There's at least two. Now, anyway, let me get back to
what
what I was
How
saying.
many more are there?
What are the other ones?
There's at least two.
What are the other ones?
Harry, let's try it this way. You're a female. What is the other gender?
It's so funny. It's so funny how these conservatives just get time to lie on this show, but when I'm speaking, they all interrupt and there's no problem.
Question.
You've just been asked a very simple question, Harry.
That was Harry Sisson. I'm sorry, Sisson. He's a TikTok influencer. And he went on Piers Morgan to basically, lament the Trump presidency. This is a guy who was paid by the Biden administration to go after the youth vote on TikTok. So he's not a grassroots influencer. He's a paid, created influencer. Big, big difference. And of course, he's complaining about Donald Trump's executive orders, yet what he ought to be doing is thanking the president who saved TikTok. Otherwise, this kid might have to go out and get a real job.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hi, I'm Pastor Marty. Welcome to the Afternoon Drive. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and once you are, smack the bell, click the word all. That will give you notification of my rants, my ravings, my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. It's the only way that we get the word out that we're here. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the Afternoon Drive. So Harry Sisson goes on Piers Morgan, and every one of his answers is snarky, and he's on there with not only Piers, but of course his panel. Let me just say this at the outset. I don't like this particular format where all of these panel guests are in different locations and it's basically a glorified Zoom call that we're watching. The problem is they tend to walk all over each other. Sometimes it's deliberate. Sometimes the other person's paused, so you think that's a break and you get to go. And these things work so much better when they're all together in the same location. That's just a production issue with me. Off to the side. One of the guys on there that was arguing back at Harry is, of course, Dave Rubin. Now, Dave Rubin is a member of the LGBTQ community. He is gay. And yet, he's on there trying to make the case with young Harry. Well, how many genders are there, Harry? How many genders are there? That's a rather logical question, isn't it? Even among the so-called trans community that's just so upset that Donald Trump has issued these executive orders. What are we going to do? What do you mean? If you're a guy, in transition, what are you transitioning to? A female. Female to a guy. Isn't that how it works? And you can call yourself anything you want. I'm guacamole. That doesn't make it fact. There is a scientific fact. You either have XX or XY chromosomes. That's it. That's established science. Right, Dr. Fauci? Oh, that's right. When you were still running the NIH, you had a whole section of your website dedicated to the fact that right now we are in the midst of a brand new evolution taking place. Not new species, but the transitioning of human species into other sex and genders. This is absolute lunacy. The guy that's running for prime minister in Canada on the Conservative Party was asked by Canadian TV, hey, Donald Trump has issued this executive order establishing there's only two genders. Are you going to run on that same issue? And I loved this conservative candidate's response. Well, what are the other genders? In other words, he's like, name them. Well, I identify as a man, but this executive directive by Donald Trump, well, I'm not aware that there's anything other than male or female. Do you have another gender that you would like to propose that I should consider? That was a great answer. This is how far depravity has taken us, and we have slipped into this just mental lunacy of even giving this argument any credence. I remember, was it like 10 years ago, airlines were letting you pick different pronouns, and Facebook at one time had 52 genders to pick from, and college professors were teaching that there were 20, 30 different genders. This is all hogwash, and Donald Trump has said, with established science, we are done with this nightmare. We're done with it. The DEI, gone. He has given those people paid leave. Now, understand, there will be people within the government that will still try to do this DEI training. They'll call it something else, but I'm going to tell you this time around, it's not going to work. Trump 2.0 is not Trump 2016. They haven't quite figured this out yet. In 72 hours, he has absolutely, completely, and totally begun the dismantling and the draining of the deep state. Over 1,000 Biden appointees within the federal government have been let go. Miley, gone, and other ilk, gone. So this is going to happen very quickly, and the Democrats, the libloons, the Marxists don't know what to do because Trump is on this game and he's not playing this nonsense anymore. And little Harry Sisson, who has been wrong literally about everything. His projections before the election were unreal. He's like a Yale law student, I think, or is it Harvard? Who knows? He's the ultimate in white privilege. Daddy pays for him to, go away to college. If I was his daddy, I would too. I'll pay you to go anywhere. Just please don't come home. And now, a week after the election, he's seen sipping a martini, talking about how most of the Trump voters already regret their decision, and I'm just gonna laugh at them. This little dude that I'm not even sure has hit puberty yet. He's like Doogie Howser. He obviously graduated from his homeschool at the age of 10, and he went to college, because there's no way he's even old enough to shave yet. Look at that little baby face. And if he's ever, I don't know what he's into. I don't know if he's gay or straight, doesn't matter. But when he's with his significant other and, they're having a moment of intimacy, he thinks the pre is the actual event, and he's done. Some of you get what I mean by that. Others of you that are freaking out that I even said that. This is where we're at in this nation, that things like him are influencers, and thank God we saw on November the 5th, not just simply a repudiation of this politically, but this culturally, that God really stepped in and said, we're going to turn a page on this wokeism, because the vast majority of young people in this nation do not look at the Harry Sissons. They do look at other influencers, and they understand, they get it now, that conservatism is where it's at. Well, the day after the inauguration, the president and his family, along with J.D. Vance and his wife, attended the national prayer service at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., which happens to be Episcopalian, an Anglican, watered-down version of Roman Catholicism. And the female bishop was going to use this as an opportunity to set the president straight.
Unity is relatively easy to pray for on occasions of great solemnity. It's a lot harder to realize when we're dealing with real differences in our private lives and in the public arena. But without unity, we're building our nation's house on sand.
Let me jump right in here and deal with the theological before we deal with the content. She's already proposing unity over truth. She is talking about unless we build on unity, we're building on shifting sand. Now, she's pulling scripture, surprise, surprise, out of context. When the Bible talks about build on the rock and not on sand, it's talking about build on Christ. And Jesus Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. So in other words, the biblical admonition is to build your positions on truth. Don't build them on fairy tales. Build them on truth. And not, well, this is my truth. No, you build it on established, factual, actual truth. She's talking about building on unity. See, first of all, she is holding an office that scripturally she is disqualified from holding. In fact, I happen to have a copy of the Bible right here on my desk, and it would do this individual well for her to actually read in Timothy and in Titus the scriptural qualifications to serve as an elder/bishop. One of those requirements is you must be the husband of one wife. And if she is part of the rainbow community, Romans chapter 1 lets you know very quickly that God has not endorsed that lifestyle. So she is not scripturally qualified to hold the office that she claims to hold. But see, it doesn't matter when you are in a liberal apostate denomination that has sacrificed truth for what is politically convenient, which allows her to then stand up there and virtue signal.
Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God.
Here it comes, the God setup. In other words, you can't be a good Christian, you aren't really godly unless you are doing this image of God that I am telling you is what the image of God ought to be. Again, sacrificing truth for this concept of unity, which in this case, of course, is going to be liberal progressivism.
To have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives.
What an absolute crock. They fear for their lives. Why? The LGBTQ community is, without a doubt, the single most privileged community in this nation right now. They're not the outlier. They're not the, forgive me for saying it this way, the butt of jokes anymore, although they ought to be. When I was a kid growing up, there were certain slurs and slangs that we used with each other and those that we thought were like, Harry Sissy. And of course, that's all. You can't do that now. You can't say that now. You can't tell that joke. You can't use that word anymore to describe them. Every TV show and movie's got to have at least one now. And we have to, they can never be like the criminal. They've always got to be the good guy and the virtuous one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They have their own mafia now in Hollywood to make sure that they are represented in the purest of propaganda. They have a privileged class and status right now. In fact, in Hollywood, I would say that you probably get farther in your career by claiming to be that than not be that. So when Jamie Lee Curtis, man, I really used to like her. When I was a preteen and the Halloween movies were just coming out and she was declared, the scream queen of the screen. I mean, every guy liked Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, she's apparently got a trans daughter and posted after the inauguration that love is the new resistance. And stop. Again. And this getting all bent sideways that Donald Trump declared there's two genders. Well, again, if you're in transition, what are you transitioning to? Male to female, female to male. That still doesn't affect the so-called trans community. But those who want to be trans non-binary or on trans species or whatever. I saw one guy, I'm cotton candy. No, what you are is insane. This is biblical, scientific, established fact. Male, female. Genesis 1, Genesis 2. God created male and female, created he them. That's it. And if you're confused about what you are, go into a room, close the door, look at yourself disrobed in front of a mirror, and what you got you is, and what you ain't got you're not. It's an XX, XY chromosome. That's it. And you can't, here I go, change it. I don't care what therapists tell you. I don't care what great plastic surgery Dr. Frankenstein can do to your body. You is what you is, period. And she talks about, have mercy, have mercy. What about mercy on the girls that have had their teeth kicked out playing against males in female sports? Where's the mercy there? Female prisoners now petitioning to get the males out of their prisons and out of their showers. They're transitioning. Yeah. Transition to get out of the male prison to the female prison. What do you think's going to happen to the females in those shower rooms? Give me a break. You're going to talk about have mercy. Hey, Bishop, and you're not, Marianne or Marion, whatever your name is. Instead of worrying about mercy, you need to worry about, number one, sane thought, and number two, be very careful when you claim to speak on behalf of God that what you're saying cannot actually be backed up with Scripture. God's going to have something to say to you about that in the hereafter. That's a guarantee.
And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples.
Is she on crack? No, I'm serious. What is her problem? All illegal aliens are not criminals. The word illegal. The word illegal. The fact that they came in here illegally means they violated a law, which means they committed a crime, which means they are, what's the word, boys and girls? Criminal. And this virtue signal is really nothing more than elite racism. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Listen to her talk about them. That the only thing they can do is manual labor. Pick your fruit. Weed your garden. Mow your grass. Clean your toilet. She thinks it's merciful to let these people come here and for slave wages serve her and her class. That's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. And to argue to keep the actual criminals here? I love Donald Trump's, Now, of course, the next day she immediately ran to The View and to Rachel Madcow, because they had to give her, shelter. And of course, CNN had her on. She spoke truth to power. No, because what she spoke biblically and factually was a lie. What she did was virtue signal. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The Trump executive orders, it's done. It's gone. Even the pride flags cannot be flown from government or federal buildings any longer.